We are live. SCW here for you now with a very special edition of the Q&A session now, Backlash 2023 special. Also, Triple H has announced plans now for the World Heavyweight Championship, which will be taking place after Backlash, going into Night of Champions. It's going to be a big topic of discussion here today, and I'm not alone for this Q&A. I'm joined by the one, the only, very hard-working person in our community, by the way, the natural Astrid Pizarro. Astrid, how are you doing?
Good. How are you doing today?
I'm very well, thank you. Thank you for taking the time to be on the show. It's great to have you back. It's been about nearly a year since the last time you were
Yeah.
on the channel. So for those that are not familiar with you, Astrid, please tell everybody about your fantastic work you've been doing.
Well, I talk a lot about NXT and Impact Wrestling, but my main focus is women's wrestling. Whether it's on my podcast with my friend Belle, Ladies Wrestling Showcase, or with my interview series called Astrid Ask, but that's like my main thing. But yeah, I just love talking about women's wrestling and like highlighting it or uplifting it in any way that I can.
Absolutely fantastic. And I've got to say, I'm a big advocate of your channel. I always enjoy the Asterisk R series when I get the chance to watch it. And like you said, you've been doing a lot of reviews as well with Impact and NXT as well. Obviously, Impact has been a big part for you recently. I've seen you've gone to a number of shows as well in the last sort of few months.
Yeah, I went to Impact, I believe it was January when I did, and I went to Ring of Honor for the first set of tapings as well. So it's a little bit of everything so far that I've been able to be here for.
Absolutely. You say you've got quite a range of the wrestling that you do follow. And obviously, we've been talking, obviously, the main topic here today, WWE Backlash tomorrow, taking place in San Juan, Puerto Rico, the first premium live event in Puerto Rico since 2005. That was a very passionate crowd that night there for New Year's Revolution. Obviously, for yourself there, how special is it that we're going to be seeing WWE going to Puerto Rico tomorrow?
Yeah, it's definitely bittersweet in that sense because I'm happy that we're getting a pay per view like this and having like Bad Bunny say during the conference earlier, just like be loud because we want them to come back later on here, and we want them to not forget about Puerto Rico and the fans and how passionate they are. But it's also bittersweet in that end of it too because I wish I could be there and attend it because that press conference was amazing this earlier today and not being able to be there. But like I love hearing the chants and hearing them talk about my culture, and even like the graphics, having the graphics with the flag in the background. I think even Cody put a Puerto Rican flag in his jacket for the show and everything. So those little things that makes me miss my island and the culture, the people, the food, the things that I don't get to really experience a lot in here.
No, I understand that. And obviously, yeah, like it's a very special thing. Like you say, it gets through that. Last year, the W went to Clash of the Castle in Cardiff, Wales. Obviously, being English, but at the same time, not living in England. For me, I had that same feeling you did. I was like, oh, I'm so happy, I'm so passionate. And, it had a real special feeling. It was there, but I was like, but I can't be there. So it was just like you said, I had that same sort of feeling. So I totally understand where you're coming from with that. How is it going to be like tomorrow night with the likes of, for example, that big match with Bad Bunny and Damian Priest? Obviously, Bad Bunny, one of the biggest musical artists in the world, does his thing in WWE. Great performances when he does. Like you say, he's someone who's when it comes to Puerto Rico, a household name, not just there, but the whole world as well. Damian Priest having some, I believe, some heritage from Puerto Rico as well, if I'm not mistaken. So to have this big match made for this show here, surely that's going to be one of the big talking points tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm definitely still hoping that main events to show because it'll be amazing to have two Puerto Ricans, main event in Puerto Rico of all places. But I think it'll be great just because having Bad Bunny be there. I know people that are fans of him but don't know about wrestling that just gonna be watching because of his presence there. So we know that the numbers are gonna be different for this live show than a lot of other live shows, and seeing that representation there, it's gonna be a lot of media coverage most likely the day after it happens as well. So I know it's a lot of people. A lot of people just thinking of watching it because of him, the popularity that he brings. So I think it's going to be very special.
Absolutely, indeed, there, and yeah, I mean, like you said, the chance for mainstream attention from this, what it could do, like you said, the day after, obviously not just for local press, but for worldwide national press as well, is great for the WWE. It's very, very special. And obviously, like you say, great for Puerto Rico as well. Do you reckon there's an opportunity that this could be? Obviously, I mentioned the UK already. We are very fortunate; we've got Money in the Bank this year. Do you reckon this could become a regular thing where Puerto Rico could get more shows going forward?
I do hope so. I feel like it will like seeing, I guess, the crowd and the reaction from the crowd when it happens, not only tonight for SmackDown, but for the pay per view. I feel like it will open their eyes to realize that they should at least be there, like hopefully like once a year, and tour there more often than they should have, because it's something that I definitely think that they're missing. I think they should realize how passionate the fans are, and I think we can definitely see that when you can hear the crowds at the shows.
Absolutely, indeed. There, and obviously we've got other big matches on the show as well. You mentioned a big advocate for women's wrestling as well. Zelina Vega
Mhm.
going for the
Yeah.
SmackDown Women's Championship. How special does that feel?
Oh, I'm like I love both of them, and I know that Zelina probably won't be winning, but I'm like seeing her. I can imagine her winning in Puerto Rico. I feel like that would have been an amazing kind of way to end the match. It probably won't happen, unfortunately, because of Rhea's being a dominant champion. Probably gonna keep her that way, but I can just imagine the representation for her and how it feels for her being able to wrestle in Puerto Rico of all places. Um, it's something like it's incredible to think about when you think about wrestling at home and be able to be there with your family.
Absolutely, indeed, there, and like you say, it's such a special environment to go back and just to be a part of it. And like you say, it's I imagine going to be a big crowd there, passionate crowd, and just that feeling is going to warm the heart there. And obviously, we've seen, the emotions can take over on big moments like that. And like you said, there's some big matches, big performances. Are there other matches you're looking forward to on the Backlash card?
Yeah, aside from those two, definitely like Io and Bianca is the one that I'm looking forward to as well. And I think those are the three, like my three main ones that I'm looking forward to the most.
I can't blame you. I actually said on my predictions video that I think Bianca and Io is actually a sleeper pick to potentially be match of the night. Both are incredible performers, and obviously, a lot riding on it with the Raw Women's Championship. Although both will be on SmackDown afterwards, I still feel that low key there's all these big marquee matches, but this one here I think has a potential to be where people are talking about it afterwards. So very very special indeed. Should we send out to everybody that's in the chat that's come to join us already?
Yeah, let's see.
Let's do it. Or someone that you know pretty well. Ed Fry's in the house. He says, hello, Steve. Hello, tag team partner. Of course, doing a lot of work together as well, Ed Fry's. And obviously, the last time we were on the channel, Ed was with us as well there. And it was Great American Bash last year as well. We did the predictions for NXT. So great to see you in the house, Ed. Hope you're keeping well. Eric Douglas in house as well. He says, do you think Randy will eventually win the new World Championship? So the first real question coming in there for us, obviously Randy Orton currently injured. We don't even know if he'd be on Raw or SmackDown when he would be to return, if he is to return. But that's the sort of name that would add early lineage to a new World Championship in WWE. Do you reckon Randy would be a contender when he would come back in?
Oof, that's a tough one. I feel like maybe in a little bit later. I wouldn't put him right at the beginnings. I feel like that championship was mostly probably gonna be given to Seth Rollins, the way I see it right now. But yeah, I feel like if it is him, it'll probably take him, a little bit after some time of Rollins keeping it there. But yeah, I don't mind seeing that though.
I wouldn't mind seeing it either at some point. Obviously, to answer the question, but I've actually agree with you, Ashton. I think obviously Randy coming in when he does return. I think there is some stories that are there for him when he's to return, depending on who is champion at that time. Obviously, you look at the history of Matt Riddle with the RK Bro. Would they be a team? Would they be rivals? You look with Cody Rhodes with the previous work with Legacy together. Would Randy go and be as Randy know we can be from time to time going heel? It would be interesting to see how it would work. But of course, at some point, eventually, obviously, is the question that Eric. Never say never, my friend. It could happen one day. Shout out to Noob and Co as well, who's in the house and saying, how are we doing? We're doing very well, Noob. Thank you for checking out the stream. And Eric is saying, I'm happy Priest is having this run. It's amazing to see Damien. This has got to be like his WrestleMania, isn't it?
Yeah, I feel like and that hometown feel would definitely make it like that WrestleMania type of feel for him. And we didn't get to see him at WrestleMania, so I feel like this is probably gonna be like his way of like feeling like it's WrestleMania for him in that aspect. And being like I said, being home and having that culture there. I remember like seeing the video when he was U.S. champion when they did travel to Puerto Rico and seeing him go around like had those tourist areas and just missing the island as he was and seeing his family. So I think this is gonna have that type of feel for him.
Absolutely, indeed. It warms the heart just hearing things like that. Obviously, you travel the road, you go all around the world, but then the opportunity to sort of have that home feeling. Do you know what I mean? It's a special thing, especially if we don't get it that often. A lot of the superstars, obviously from in and around the United States, get to do the hometowns probably 3-4 times a year. When's an opportunity you get to go and do something like this? This is sort of, like I said, first time in 18 years on a premium live event. It's going to feel very, very special indeed. So some magical moments that can be made. Bubba Duke 188 here for us and says, hello, great people of Ole. Great to see you in the house. Bubba Duke, hope you're doing very, very well. Thank you for checking out the stream. And we've got Juggernaut in the house as well. Juggernaut, it's Justin, been a while. Hope you're doing well, my friend, and hope you're keeping well. Looking out and seeing a lot of your retro content recently, doing great work over there, my friend, and do keep it up on that channel. I'm sure Juggernaut also probably does have some Backlash predictions if people want to go and check them out. Like I say, a channel I recommend subscribing to. Eric here once again. If Zelina wins, is that Chunkless falling from the sky for the whole match? To fill me in on that, I feel a little bit in the dark on this one.
Well, to basically give you like a little story short, for us Hispanic kids, if you want to call them, whenever you were not behaving correctly, your parents will always threaten you with what we call a chancla, which is basically like a flip flop, and give you
Okay.
that flip flop move. Like, if you behave bad, this is coming for you. So
Ah.
now, while we're adults, it's kind of like a joke when we think about it. When somebody's misbehaving, you kind of show them that chancla, and then it's like, be afraid of what's coming up next. And she had it not too long ago while she was backstage with Adam Pearce, when she asked him for the match with Rich. Like, if if I don't do it, the chancla's coming for her. So it's one of those things that's like a cultural thing for us. And like, now as adults, we always joke about it, even though when we were children, that definitely was the most terrifying moments of our lives.
I do you know what you learn something new every day. Thank you for sharing that with me, because that's something for me to learn there. So no, thank you very much. And Eric says, if Damage Control breaks up, do you think Dakota Kai could be in trouble? I'm guessing with that question, Eric means perhaps lost in the shuffle. Obviously, a very talented female is Dakota Kai. How would you see her faring if Damage Control were to split in the near future?
Oof, that one's really a tough one. I do understand where he's coming from, though, because of like what happened in the past with her. But I feel like no matter what happens, WWE's the kind of company, they kind of put like random teams together, so you never know, she'll become a part of another tag team, or if she was just stay with Bailey for a little while, as Io will kind of break off from them, though, which is something that I could see happening as well, as everything begins to happen.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. And you're going to say that you can see where it comes from, obviously, but very talented performer. I've always been a big fan of Dakota Kai, even from like I think the Mae Young Classic was my first experience of seeing. I know she'd
Yes.
appeared in Stardom stuff before, but obviously to go on then for NXT UK as well. One of my favorite moments in NXT history is that War Games match where she turned on Tegan Knox.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I didn't see it coming, and I got to say, I was wowed at the moment. I'd like to hope Dakota would be finding WWE, but like you said, the history goes on the show. Usually, when she's been thrown on these tag teams, usually she's the one that kind of gets thrown to the side. I would hope Dakota will be okay, but I suppose time will tell on that one. Appreciate it, and love your content as well. Thank you very much, Juggernaut. That's very kind of you to say. It really, really does mean a lot. Ed Fries with a question for us now, and straight for you, Astrid, as well with this one. Do you think there could be any local surprises coming up tomorrow night?
Oh, I think the only one that I can think of will be maybe Carlito, if anything. That's the only one that I can really think of when it comes to Hispanics. The other one that I say that because of Puerto Rico being that his family's from there and he is as well. I feel like Los Otarios could be another one that I feel like they could easily join LWO, and I don't remember if they were drafted or not. So I feel like that could be another thing that perhaps you could see them kind of joining in that affection and making it a little bit bigger than what it is now. And just highlighting Roberto and Angel Garza in that type of way.
Absolutely, indeed. And that'd be quite a cool idea. Obviously, when you look at the history of the LWO from WCW, it was almost every single luchador, more or less, was joining that group. The only one didn't want to at the time was Rey Mysterio. Fun how now we go back like 20, 25 years later. Now Rey is the one that's kind of the advocate for it. But I mean, what have been your thoughts with the LWO so far? Obviously, taking a lot of pinfalls at the moment, but I think they could be in for a big moment tomorrow night. One of my predictions I made was the fact that I expect Bad Bunny to win his match. But at the same time, I do feel as well that there could be a moment where Bad Bunny could represent that LWO shirt at the end of the match. Therefore, I mean, obviously for merchandise sales, that would be massive in itself. But obviously that would be big for the group as well going forward, knowing that they have the support of a mainstream superstar.
I think that would be cool because they have the Mexican flag in one of the versions of the shirt and the Puerto Rican flag in the other one as well. So I wouldn't mind seeing him wearing the Puerto Rican one and kind of boosting it and promoting it in that type of way. But he also has a lot of merch that just came out a few days ago too. So you never know if he'll wear one of those to represent that WWE Bad Bunny kind of collaboration there, and especially ones with the flag on it too.
Absolutely, indeed. It's going to be really fun to see. And every time that Bad Bunny has been there, he's done great performances in WWE. I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table this time. A to the K wrestling show in house. Shout out to A to the K wrestling show, by the way. Very fortunate to be on their channel just very recently. The video came out today. The episode is called "Get the F Out." Now, obviously, it does sound a bit extreme, but it's a fun little pet peeve episode. We all express something that we're not a big fan of in professional wrestling, and then we all take a vote at the end. It was myself with A to the K as well, Katrina in Cap We Trust, as long with Shay, which is a part of Unpopular Review. Both of those ladies also on Women's Wrestling Talk. It's a fun time, half an hour episode. It's a really good time, and like I say, I recommend everyone's going to check it out if you get the opportunity. A to the K doing great work over there, and thank you for stopping by. But they do say I would definitely pop for Carlito, a great shout, and I've got to say, I admit it as well. Carlito was, very popular, of course, back in the day as well in the noughties. Obviously, there was Primo and Epico with them as well there. But the Colognes run obviously in the classic times, Carlos Colon, if I'm not mistaken, run the Puerto Rican territories for quite a long time.
Yeah, they do. Carlos Colon does have the company there, and they all wrestle for it. So it's wouldn't be surprised to see Carlito there. The last time we saw him was a Rumble appearance. That was just a one off. I thought he would have been staying after that. That would be the one that I could kind of see happening, being that obviously he's probably local there.
Absolutely, indeed. There, yeah. I mean, it would work really, really well if Carlito was to. And I actually thought the same as you when he made that appearance. I thought he would be sticking around longer, but it's a shame as well because it wasn't in front of fans. It was the famous television era, the Thunderdome era, where it was all just the screens everywhere. But yeah, hopefully Carlito would come back for one. If that would be a fun show. As would this be a really fun show? Steve, would you like to see Savio Vega show? Of course, a classic from the 90s. Savio, of course, was a part of Undertaker's group backstage as well. So you know that he's definitely in amongst the popular of WWE. He was a part of Undertaker's retirement segment, speaking of the Thunderdome era at Survivor Series 2020. I was quite a Savio Vega fan back in the day, so I would actually pop big time to see him show up. I remember his big feuds with Stone Cold Steve Austin back in the mid-90s. But do you have memories of Savio Vega?
I really don't, because I started watching it a little bit later. I do not know the name, of course, but I think that would be one. I kind of see it of like, what if towards the end, towards the end of like one of the matches, we get everybody kind of beating up on Dom, and we get all of the Latino kind of like people that stand out, like Savio Vega being there, kind of beating up on Dom, as the way that Rey Mysterio kept going at first. So I think that would be something kind of fun spot to see. So I can see him doing something like that, perhaps, if they do it.
Absolutely, yeah. It would be quite cool if that was to go down. I must admit, I would pop big time. That definitely would be one of my sort of perks going to the review as well. Eric says, did I hear War Games? You did indeed, my friend. But we are quite a way away from it. I don't know what you're asking there, Eric, in there. I will get Astrid to go and check that out for us in a second before pulling up on the screen. But what I will do in the meantime, I want to talk to you about the World Heavyweight Championship. That's obviously the big news that's come out, obviously this evening. Triple H doing that press conference in Puerto Rico, like you said, and obviously he's explained how things are going to go down after the show that we've got a Backlash, obviously going into Night of Champions. We're going to have 2 triple threat matches on Monday Night Raw. And the winner of those 2 triple threat matches will face off the same night, one-on-one in competition. Now, funnily enough, a championship that's exclusive to Raw is also going to be available to SmackDown Superstars. The same thing will happen on SmackDown on Friday night. 2 triple threat matches again. The winners will face off later that night. And then the winners of those 2 matches, 1 Raw Superstar and 1 SmackDown Superstar, will compete in the main event of Night of Champions. Now, we've just had a WWE draft. Roman Reigns is on SmackDown. He has all the gold. Someone on SmackDown could walk away the World Heavyweight Champion. Now, just to hear me out, unless that superstar is going to be traded and moving over to Raw, I don't understand quite what is going on here. Astrid, please enlighten me a little bit. What's your reaction to this news?
I was gonna say we're stuck in the same boat, because I definitely felt the same way. I kept thinking either we get Rollins as the winner, and that's why it sticks with the championship being on Raw, or it was like we get that person from SmackDown, whoever it is, and then the person from Raw ends up winning at the end anyway. But yeah, the part of like having SmackDown involved doesn't make sense to me when you want the championship exclusive to Raw, unless the winner from SmackDown does get traded with somebody from Raw later on. But it starts to make you think of like the draft doesn't really help in that aspect. It's like, why would you have the draft right before this happens? I might as well had waited for the draft after you had a champion crowned with this new championship here, and and then kind of sort them in that way. But yeah, I don't understand why you have SmackDown involved in here.
No, me neither. I mean, Eric goes on to say, 3 belts Roman, give us what we want. Obviously, that's what Eric wants there. I'm not sure it's what I want, but I suppose what you're saying, Eric, and what Triple H is saying is there is a chance. There's a small chance it could happen, but I don't think Roman is going to be advertised for all these shows. This is now me going into speculation station. I hope you don't mind me, Astrid, here. I'm going to go into full what-if territory here. Now, there are rumors going around at the moment that Drew McIntyre is not particularly looking to be sticking around in WWE for a lot longer. Obviously, there have been talks about the idea of his contract coming up, not being renewing it at the time being. Drew was a big draft pick to Monday Night Raw, and I just start to wonder, what if there is something that meets the eye here? I thought Drew would re-sign with the company. What if he is on the way out? Or maybe WWE looks at the top stars of Raw and thinks, we've got Cody, we've got Seth, we've got perhaps Gunther that's going to be there, but Drew is going to be our 4th guy. maybe SmackDown is too loaded. Maybe someone from SmackDown should come over to Raw if Drew is leaving. Hence, say, for example, I'm going to throw a couple of names down just out of thin air, but let's say a Bobby Lashley, an Austin Theory, an AJ Styles. One of those names wins that championship, goes over to Raw just to balance things out because SmackDown, and it seems quite heavy with the roster that they've got. For me, I hope Drew sticks around and I hope that all of this just doesn't make sense and the Raw guy wins. But that is the only way I can find logic in what they're doing.
Yeah, I think that's one of the basically the only option that I see going on right now is to have somebody drafted from SmackDown in some way to Raw just to balance things out. Because another thing that a lot of people notice is that Raw is very babyface heavy. So it's like that's pretty interesting going forward because let's say Rollins is the champion, that he only has babyface opponents, which doesn't make a lot of sense going forward. So it's like just to give an example, that's how it feels like. So I feel like they need kind of like that top heel perhaps to go against the champion once the champion is crowned. So perhaps we could have somebody that's like a top heel that was probably set for SmackDown and have them move forward. But it's another thing, if you think about it too, is that we don't have Roman. Who knows for how long now at this point that he's going to be absent. So you need kind of like somebody that's going to have that top figure at that moment because he's going to be missing for quite a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's key who they choose here to become that first world heavyweight champion because, like you say, without a Roman, that person's going to have to really carry the mantle and they have to almost make you believe that this championship is the championship, especially even when Roman is around. Because, I mean, obviously, the way the championship was brought into a lot of people's eyes was seen as a consolation prize, which is not a good sight to see. But obviously, when you look at someone like Seth Rollins, who's a name that's been heavily thrown into the hat and a favorite to many, he's the one guy that didn't lose to Roman Reigns. So therefore, you can make that case argument that the championship is in, I suppose, better hands if it's given to someone like Seth. It's going to be interesting to see how it's going to play out. But if I had to put you on the spot, Astrid, at this moment, because I like to ask the hard-hitting questions where I can, who do you think at this moment do you see walking away as that first world heavyweight champion?
Yeah, definitely Rollins. He's my guy. He's always been my guy, so I can't not pick him. He's the one that I've seen because I think about it from this aspect because we had Roman be champion now for so long. But if you think about it, we end up talking about Rollins and the matches he's had with several people, and we end up thinking of like how he's built them up so far, and even just thinking about the fact that even when he loses, he's still highlighting those people, and even on a weekly basis, giving us like incredible matches. And I feel like that championship belongs to him. We haven't had him be, that in that spotlight for quite a while, and I feel like he's been working his butt off to earn that championship. It's like I didn't want it to be this one, but if I want him to be champion, I gotta have this one at least. So I definitely want him to win that championship and just highlight it and uplift it as a first champion to begin with. And it being that he's going to continue working the way he is in his work ethic, you can see that championship being elevated in no time.
Absolutely, indeed. I completely agree with it. Obviously, not to be a copycat, but I do think Seth as well there. And just say very quickly, last weekend in Paris, the Seth Rollins theme song was sung for about 10 minutes straight, according to WWE. What are the chances of how long that's going to go on tomorrow in Puerto Rico? I have a feeling they're going to be quite passionate singing along with that one.
Yeah, I feel like we already heard a little bit today when Cody came on, that big whoa and how it sounded, even when it was outside. If you think about it, with and not that many people, but I can imagine being in a closed venue with a lot more people in the venue there as well. So I feel like that will be a huge thing to hear. I cannot wait to hear that one in the Cody chant when that happens too.
Absolutely, yeah, it can be very, very special. And obviously, just to be awkward, because I like to be awkward from time to time, we mentioned about said SmackDown superstar. Which SmackDown superstar do you reckon will be taking on Seth then in the final of that Night of Champions tournament?
I saw this one on Twitter and I cannot unsee it after seeing it and just the way it's playing out. I definitely see Solo going against Rollins after this
Wow.
because I feel like something that was teased a little bit. So I feel like being that they're in opposite brands, maybe this is the way of them kind of having that match at the pay per view for the championship.
That's a very clever idea, actually. Like you said, they had the match on Raw just recently, and of course, that finished with a false finish. Solo's dominant; he's not losing matches. I think he's only lost to Cody. So I really like that suggestion.
Mhm.
I'm not gonna lie to you. Theory was my pick. I figured whoever's the loser of the United States Championship match, that other guy, Theory or Bobby, could be the one filling the spot. And I felt, well, I know we've seen a lot of Seth versus Theory, but it wouldn't surprise me if they wanted to put Theory to that next level if he was to lose the title here. So he was my pick. But Astrid, I might want your suggestion to work more. I'm not going to lie to you. Let's go back into the chat in the meantime. Like I say, people, if you got questions, throw them in. Don't be shy. And it could be the World Heavyweight title. It could be about Backlash. It could even be about anything pro wrestling. Feel free to get yourselves involved. And a big shout out to our local establishment doing fantastic work over there on the Twitch side here and on YouTube also. So yeah, give them a follow and a subscribe as well. Fantastic stuff over there. A great podcast. Now we can find this on the screen because Ed, you've given some clarity for me because I had no idea what was going on with this. So thankfully now we can come back to it. Eric said, can someone please explain what happened to Hyde Vanson? Not a clue. Didn't have an answer for that one. But Ed thankfully has come in and said he was supposed to wrestle The Undertaker. Vince didn't like how small he was, so he had a promo aired and then disappeared. There we go. Almost like Mordecai back in the day, back in 2004. So, yeah, that's probably as close as I can get to it there for it. But Rich in the house as well, Rich Miracles, says that Drew to become a heel in WWE. I hope so. I think it's long overdue for that heel turn for Drew McIntyre.
I'm like, that's a tough one because it's just, I like him as a face and what he's doing right now. Everything with Sheamus was like one of my favorite things. I definitely don't want it to end, but we need something new for him sometime soon. So I'm like, if it's him becoming the heel, I'm like, you never know. But I feel like such a lovable babyface with the fans at this point. It's hard for me to change it now. I can't see him as a heel after seeing him this couple months like this.
True, to be fair, I mean, Drew has carried the mantle for a long time as a babyface in WWE. Obviously, since winning the Royal Rumble, I think it was 2020 now. It seems COVID's a long time ago, but it doesn't feel a long time ago. Do you know what I mean? But obviously, he had that WrestleMania, of course, in front of no fans. It feels like he still deserves that moment in front of fans. But I can see a heel turn at some point. I can't lie. Yeah, I would like to see it go down when he's moved to Raw. And hopefully, he can have some great programs with the likes of Seth Rollins, we spoke about a few times already. Cody Rhodes would be another one. There'll be two matches I would really like to see. Two great questions have come in from Ed Fries. I'm going to start with the first one, with the World Heavyweight title tournament, because, well, we've been talking about that just recently. He says, what if a free agent won it, like Omos or Baron Corbin winning? Now, I don't see those two names necessarily winning, but what if a free agent won it? Do they get aligned to Monday Night Raw? Do they get to take that title to SmackDown? It's a really good argument that Ed has made there.
Oh, I think like one that will be interesting for me will be Baron, just because I know that he's been kind of like in the back burner right now. We haven't seen much from him, and then seeing that clip of the crowd in Europe was just amazing. I think it was a Paris show, if I'm not mistaken, that was in there as well. The reaction for him, and then having him win, and how he felt that about the reaction too. I think it would be cool if he won. I wouldn't mind it because I want more from him. I've enjoyed him since NXT, and I was always hoping for more for him. And I've just kind of been disappointed with the way he's been booked lately. So I was like, if this is something that, like, crowning him as champion will kind of bring him up and kind of highlight him in that way, that the way we haven't seen in the past few months, I'm all for it. I would not mind that.
To be fair, I mean, I actually am. I don't mind Corbin. I know that sometimes he gets a rough deal, but the thing is, he has a style of wrestling. It's a very safe style, but also he has some pretty cool moves in the moveset. I mean, the Deep Six is awesome. End of Days is a different level of finisher. We can't argue with that. But do I see him winning the title tournament? No. I mean, I think Vince would have the finger on the pulse if Omos is winning it. But I mean, it'd be interesting to see if Omos actually wins even on Saturday against Seth Rollins. We've been talking so highly about Seth in the last few moments. But a free agent is a very interesting proposition, because do they become a permanent residence on Raw, or do they get to still be free agency and go on both shows, which means then SmackDown would have a world champion whilst Roman is away? It would almost be like when the draft first started in 2002. So that's a really good question from Ed there, and it adds a lot of fuel to the fire. Still adds more down to what the draft actually means going forward, but still, nonetheless, WWE have their rules, and I guess we just have to follow them in their weird and wacky way. The other question that comes from Ed Fries is, who do you think should win the NXT Women's Championship tournament? This is a great question here. Obviously, Indy Hartwell, obviously relinquishing the championship, going to Monday Night Raw. Her foot is still in the foot sort of shoe brace that she's in. It was taken away by Dexter Lumis. Feels like Index will be a thing on Monday nights, which is great to see. But obviously, it led to every single female from NXT coming out of the woodwork and sort of staking their claim for that championship. Astrid, how do you see that this championship tournament is going to play out?
And that's how I feel about this. So I started asking me this question live on camera, so I can avoid it at this point. No, as much as I would love somebody like Roxanne to win it again, I feel like this is more like Tiffany's time. You have to have her while she's hot now as a performer. And I feel like it will bring something new to the table with all the girls, like you said, that have that brawl in the ring right there. And then we could see her going against Cora maybe in the future. And there's people like Lyra who's been lurking around in there too. And we have Gigi and JC that are still there. So I feel like Tiffany will be that person that should be on that that spot right now, and we could have so many possibilities going forward. I feel like it'll be something fresh, and you never know who's gonna be next now because of the all up brawl that we got. But I love that ending more than anything because you kind of connect the dots and think of all the possibilities that we can get from there right now, and I'm just like I cannot wait to see what happens.
Yeah, I'm the same. I'm really open-minded with this NXT Women's Championship tournament. I kind of agree with you with Tiffany because I thought she was winning at WrestleMania, so the
Yeah.
Stand and Deliver show. So I really felt her time has been around for a while. When, like you say, Roxanne has that ability of where it's more fun for her to chase the championship. If she doesn't win it on this first time round, to then go and try and get the championship later, say SummerSlam weekend, Survivor Series weekend, the time can come again for Roxanne Perez. She's got a lot of time on the side. But like you said with Tiffany, strike the iron when it's hot. There's something that's clicked with Tiffany in recent times. Her character work has been unbelievable in NXT as of late. And for me, I would like to see her actually win the championship. But like you said, there are people there, like you said, Jacy Jayne, Gigi Dolan have got their rivalry going on. There's plenty of talent pool for NXT. So it's an open field. I'm looking forward to seeing how the brackets play out. For me, I'm a brackets guy. It makes me sound quite nerdy, I know, but I do like that when WWE kind of reveals who's facing who in a tournament. West Coast Podcast in house saying great stream. Thank you very much. Very kind. Says getting me in the zone for the Rampage stream. Triple threats help protect people to lose, but not to take the pin, which is a fantastic point. The beauty of a triple threat match, you can put someone in there. For example, say Solo Sikoa doesn't make the final. He hasn't got to be involved in the pinfall. That's a great idea to protect them. We mentioned Bobby Lashley, Austin Theory. I mentioned just SmackDown Superstars. Show us what has happened to this World Heavyweight title. But at the same time, it's a great point there by West Coast Podcast. And just very quickly, just to say before I go to you, Astrid, fantastic West Coast Podcast each and every time. The Rampage streams are always a fun time. Zach's doing quizzes, everything. Pretty much gives you everything you need from a Rampage episode that sometimes Rampage may not give you. So make sure to go and check out West Coast Podcast for the Rampage stream. Always a good time. But what's your thoughts then on triple threat matches? I think that, like you say, it's a good way to protect people.
Yeah, not only that, but I think about it from this aspect too of like it gives you enough opportunity to bring, as we said, we have 2 triple threats, so we have at least 6 people getting an opportunity to have for that championship, rather than if you have just a one-on-one, it's only 2 of them there, maybe 4 perhaps if they had decided to do 2 one-on-one matches. But having that triple threat, like you said, it gives you that opportunity of like the pin itself and protecting certain people, and it gives you a mix up. Maybe we'll get something that we haven't had in quite a while now with the people that got drafted, and we see kind of like how it'll play later on. So depending who the 3 people are, we have one as the winner, but the other 2 could end up feuding going forward, and maybe end up being the challengers for the champion afterwards too. You never know.
Absolutely, indeed. And obviously, there's that ability to make new stars out of this as well. I remember going back to 2016, at the time, what felt like a young Finn Balor coming to the main roster, obviously, was going for the Universal Championship on Monday Night Raw. Of course, on that night, one of the few people to actually beat Roman Reigns clean after winning 2 fatal 4-way matches, and then it was Balor and Roman that faced in the one-on-one match at the end of that night. And the winner was take on Rollins at the SummerSlam. Like you say, it's a great way to protect people, also a good way to build new stars. Balor at that point was a new star. Who could you see that could benefit them from a tournament like this? Obviously, we talk about NXT, for example. Imagine someone like Grayson Waller being thrown in this from the SmackDown side. Raw, there could be, I don't see Odyssey Jones getting the opportunity, but someone like that could be thrown in the deep end and maybe has a chance to have a breakout moment.
Yeah, you definitely stole my thought because I was thinking of like Grayson Waller will be one of them that could be a standout in that aspect of it. And even like Grayson at LA Knight, I would love to see little bits like that. So you never know. It's like that's one that I keep thinking of being on the SmackDown side. But that's what I love about it now, that being that we have new groups of people, there's some people that didn't get to mix before from the main roster alone. And then on top of it, adding the NXT kind of layer to it, we have people from NXT getting called up. So it's like there's so many possibilities now, and that's what I love about it now, that it just brings you something new and fresh that we didn't get before. And I would like to see more than anything like the reasoning when they pick those people to say, look, we have Grayson Waller. He was in NXT, and we feel like there's an opportunity for him to like show people what he's like. So that's why we're adding him to like the triple threat, for example. Little things like that. I feel like it also be a good way to introduce them to the audience that don't watch NXT. I know that after the draft they uploaded on the YouTube channel some kind of like video packages for the certain NXT superstars, and I feel like those are the kind of things that I would like to see on TV before they kind of bring them up. If they decide to have race those triple threat matches, it will be something that I would like to see, get people familiar with him, and those, that will be interesting going forward to like build him up and have him. There's people like Theory who's also very young and new to the main roster, so it's like having them mix up in the future too.
Absolutely. It makes some fantastic points there. I mean, obviously, the idea to going to a whole new audience to what you've seen before, you could get the idea, like you say, Grayson Waller stand out. JD McDonough's another one that was really come out left field. Apollo Crews been away in NXT for a long time, but he's changed the gimmick up a bit, sort of reintroduced that character now to a bigger audience and stuff like this. There's ways of getting those sort of people over and putting them in these high prominent spots can actually really make something happen. But I have to take one small detail you said in your conversation there a moment ago, and I can't unhear it now. I've heard it. I need LA Knight in the final. That's what I need. I need it. That would be something that'd be really special to see. That would definitely make me pop and do the impressions as I sometimes like to do. Ed Fry says, "Who would you guys choose to interview if you had one interview to do?" Amazing, Astrid. Who would be then that one interview that you would like to have if you could sit any wrestler down? I guess any person down. It doesn't really restrict it. Who would be the one person you would sit down?
I'm gonna kind of cheat a little bit, but if it was male and female, a male would definitely be Rollins for me, and female would definitely be Zelina. I can see myself a lot in her. I'm just as tiny as she is, being Puerto Rican too, and like the stuff that she likes too. She's the one that likes Sailor Moon and things like that. So we have kind of similar interests in that aspect. So she's one that I would like kind of to be able to meet and kind of fangirl about the stuff that we like together, and having that Latina background as well. It's not often that I get to have a female that is actually from Puerto Rico and that I can identify in that aspect with her too.
Fantastic. I must admit, I've never really thought too deeply into this. It's something that one time I used to watch a lot of the interviews back in the day, and I used to think, oh, maybe it'd be quite a fun idea. But then I've never really tried to branch out into that sort of idea. But I suppose my favorite wrestler of all time is it kind of is a bit two wrestlers, but Shawn Michaels and Rob Van Dam. I think I would pick HBK just purely because of the fact that he's had such a journey and such a ride in the wrestling world, and just to feed and hear some of the stories that he's gone up and down the road, some of the highs, some of the lows, just get to talk about some maybe a big guilty pleasure of my favorite matches of maybe of some of them, see if they're matching with some of his. I mean, if it was something like an RVD, I suppose it would be someone that would be, the innovative guy of the 90s, someone that for me changed the wrestling game. When I saw him in ECW for the first time, he was totally different to anybody I'd seen do any form of moveset. So that would be one. If I picked a female, because I think I would like to balance it out as well. So Ed, yeah, I'm going to cheat on this question as well. I think that I would pick someone like I think I'd pick Diana Perazzo, because I think that she seems like a really, really nice person from what I've seen of her on interviews. And I think that she's someone that I followed the journey since Ring of Honor. I'm pleased to see how well she's done in Impact. Obviously, I did want to see more when she was in WWE, but I think that, she still has the sky the limit to her. She ever wants to go back one day or go to AEW or just remain to be one of the best Impact knockouts of all time. She certainly, in my opinion, always has case argument to be one of those people. So, yeah, I think that would be my answer, Ed, if I had to pick anyone at this particular moment. Rich,
Yes, I love
say, well, Rich, is that for in the I will search of Richard. I'll come back to you in 2 seconds. For me, it would obviously be anyone in history, but it'd have to be Owen Hart. Yeah, it's a beautiful choice, and it's only if, I suppose, in this it's tragic what's happened. But nice to see the Owen Hart Cup is coming back to AEW for Double or Nothing, or starting Double or Nothing. I think moving on then into the summer. Rich says, do y'all think the NXT tag titles are going away and being replaced with new women's tag titles, or will they continue to use this to develop other tag teams in the women's division? Obviously, we've had Alba Fire and Isla Dawn obviously called up to SmackDown. They won the SmackDown versus Raw match on NXT, which was interesting this past week. So yeah, what's going to happen with those NXT women's tag team titles? Obviously, will they be relinquished as well, like Indy did, or are they going to take them to SmackDown and we have two sets of women's tag team titles going on?
I think it's pretty interesting if they actually did them as two separate kind of sets of because we have so many tag teams on Raw. I noticed after the draft happened, but I'm definitely gonna steal Ed's thoughts on this because it's just something that he kind of put into my mind after he said it during our show, and I can't been able to stop thinking about it. Having them kind of later on and kind of go against Liv and Raquel and kind of have that unification type of match there. But like I said, it's like after the draft itself, a lot of tag teams are mostly on Raw. So I want to see how it'll go in SmackDown. NXT right now doesn't really have any tag teams because they got called up to the main roster too. So I wonder how it will be moving forward. Technically, we only have one team with Jakara and Lash if they decide to put them on NXT as a tag team. But they're mostly all on Raw right now, so I think it's pretty interesting when they decide to or they want to go for our challengers. But technically, all most of the people are on Raw right now, and they're a SmackDown team. So moving forward, that will be an interesting kind of dynamic there.
I really like the suggestion there. Obviously, the unification match would be quite fun to see. And I think, for me, I still want there to be one set of tag titles that goes across both shows. So I feel now we finally have a division. If you, have like 3 teams and the tag team titles, I think it gets pretty stale pretty quickly. So in my opinion, I would like it to carry out as one. If they did that, like you said, NXT is very bare when it comes to tag teams now. I mean, they had, what was it, Ivy Nile and Tatum. Actually, they broke up, so like there's not much going on with that tag team division. Is it time to introduce then a women's mid card title to NXT?
I thought about that too because, like you said, we had Ivy and Tatum, they broke up, and then we have Fallon and Kiana, they broke up too. And so like this was like the little tag teams that we had there actually got broken up somehow. So it's like I think it would have been interesting to see kind of a mid card title because I feel like it will bring something new to the table for the women. In the main roster in NXT if they decide to, like, that would be cool to get a dynamic of having that person be in all the brands and be kind of like free agent kind of status for them. So I think that would have been interesting to see. And I know that people like Dana Brooke even said that when she had the 24/7 title, she wanted to it changed to a mid card title. And I was kind of reading a little bit of an interview recently that even when Zelina won the Queen's Crown, she thought that would have been like a title she could defend the next year when it happened again against the next person. So I think that will be an interesting thing going forward. That and I do love having feuds with no titles involved, but at the same time, I feel like there's some ladies that don't get probably the opportunities to to have that women's championship. So maybe a big card title will be a great opportunity to highlight them without giving them that championship.
Especially when there's so many up and comers in NXT, and when you see, like we said, some names that go for the main title, but like you look with the mid card area, there is that window and opportunity as well to just say, right, okay, we don't think you're ready for the top title yet of NXT, but here, go and see what you can do with this at the meantime, and see if we feel you're ready with this title, we might move you up to the next level. It's what we've seen all the way through the men's titles through the early 90s. It was always the way it was done. You see Bret Hart's win the IC title, next thing you knew was the world champion. So I think that would be a good idea if they were to bring that in. And it'd be interesting to see what they do, because honestly, Rich, with these towns, I don't know what they're going to do. If one thing's made clear with the draft so far, there seems to be no news coming out of it. I thought everything was going to be clear as day. There is nothing clear about the draft this year, but it's certainly going to be interesting to see how it does play out. Dom Mills in the house. I'm doing well. Dom, thank you for checking in. Says yes then to the answer there. And we mentioned Zelina Vega there a minute ago. Quick question for you before I go to West Coast Podcast question. You mentioned about the Queen of the Ring. Do you think it's a bit of a disappointment, obviously, because we're not getting another one at the moment this year, but like you said, Zelina didn't get the opportunity to really defend it that much. She kind of just went into the tag team with Carmella. It just kind of was just there, really. Was it a missed opportunity from WWE?
I think so. Because like, if you think about it, ever since we had Selena be in WWE from NXT up until now, she's always been mostly a manager. We haven't had her really be in the ring too often. Versus I'm used to seeing her in Impact and TNA back then when she was wrestling very often. So I would have loved to see her have that representation of being, hey, I'm the first one, so let's keep building this up from here to the next person. I know before they had advertised it like the Queen of the Ring and a King of the Ring for them to be coming up soon, but we haven't really heard anything about it ever since then. So it's disappointing because I would like to see more things for the ladies going forward. And you already had done one, so why not continue on with something like this, because it makes people exciting for women's wrestling. And I feel like it would be a good opportunity to highlight other women that are not just the champions, but other women involved in this as well. So I feel like it was such a great opportunity. I just kind of hope they decide to continue doing it there.
I hope so, and I really hope that they will bring back, because obviously King of the Queen of the Ring was supposed to happen before Night of Champions. That makes clear sense why we have Night of Champions, but I would hope they would bring it at some point later in the year. I'd like to see them revisit it, because I do feel it was a missed opportunity with Zelina was the first one. I think that she had the great character work that could go with that gimmick as well at the time, had an opportunity to get her to the next level. She got to a tag team championship reign, so I guess it's not all completely pushed under the carpet. But at the same time, I just felt, especially even with Xavier at the time, I thought they could have done much more with them
Mm.
two at that point, but it never really took place. But we mentioned Zelina a couple of times. Astrid, a question for you: do you reckon that Zelina will cosplay at Backlash tomorrow? If she did at the Royal Rumble,
Mm.
will she do it for Backlash?
Ew, that's a tough one because I, well, I don't know if I would think of like kind of. I know there's a character that she has a Puerto Rican background. I don't know if it's kind of like Captain America in that sense, but it's with the Puerto Rican. So maybe something like that. I would say. If not, I will hope she kind of wears something with the flag on it in some way because I know she has a gear and an outfit with the flag on it, and she was asking about like updating it for a gear sometime soon. I feel like this would be a good opportunity to do so. Have something with the flag to represent, her background, her ethnicity, but representing the LWO in that sense of it, that we get to see her wearing that, something we don't get to see often from her. Like I said a few minutes ago, and you see, we don't see her wrestle too often, so we don't get her to see her gear often either. But I would like to see anything with the flag in itself more than anything, more than just a regular kind of cosplay for her for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I think that that's actually a really good way that they could go about it. Like you said there, actually combine the two together there. That could be a nice way to go down. Obviously, she's a member of the LWO as well in the current time. So it'd be interesting how it will play out. I love the cosplay she did at the Royal Rumble. She really played into the character really,
Yeah.
really well as well with the
Mhm.
moveset. So I would be down for seeing something like that again from her. Ghost Spider in house says, "What's up, guys? We're doing very well, Ghost Spider. Thank you for coming into the stream and asking a question. We didn't answer earlier on. Who do we think will be the next NXT Women's Champion? I believe, Astrid, we both went with Tiffany Stratton.
Yeah, we did.
We did indeed there. So, any questions, guys and girls, feel free to get them in while we can. But just before we go any further, any more questions, I would actually like to ask Astrid just some of her predictions for tomorrow night for Backlash. Obviously, we spoke at the start of the stream, Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest in the San Juan Street fight. Who do you have winning?
Oh, that one has one that definitely has me torn. I feel like it will definitely be like a lot more like in the marketing aspect. We definitely get to see more headlines if Bad Bunny does win it. But I would like Damien to win just because, like I said, he didn't have his WrestleMania moment. So I feel like this could be that WrestleMania moment for him. And obviously, if you think about it from this aspect, he's the one moving forward and staying in the roster. So I feel like I could definitely see him on Monday bragging about beating, Benito and in their hometown. And like I was the one that beat him in front of his family and fans, as he mentioned before. So I definitely have to pick Damian Priest in this one.
Oh, interesting stuff indeed. I like that there. And what's your take then for SmackDown's Women's Championship Rhea Ripley against Zelina Vega? We've talked a lot about Zelina in the last few minutes.
Yeah, I wish Selena would win, but I definitely see Rhea keeping that championship, and and you don't know what's gonna happen now with her being on Raw, moving forward as a SmackDown Women's Champion. So I definitely see like some kind of rebrand going for the championship and something new going forward for her in there. But yeah, I wish Selena would win, but it's definitely Rhea.
It would be interesting if Zelina did win because obviously she is a SmackDown superstar. Actually, keep the actual title on the brand, but like you say, Rhea's just won it. It just seems quite difficult as a task to beat Rhea Ripley at this moment, especially when she seems to be able to tear through. Even staring down Solo Sikoa, for goodness sake, she's staring down everyone. But at the same time, I would like to see it as well. And you mentioned about renaming the championships. That's something I want to see go down. I'm bored of seeing them doing the trade of the titles. It's something that upsets me quite greatly each and every time I see it. And speaking then of women's championships that could be swapped around, the Raw Women's Championship, Bianca Belair versus Io Sky. Who do you have as the winner?
Yeah, definitely keeping Bianca as champion. I know they're moving forward. I think today, if I'm not mistaken, she's tying Becky Lynch for the longest reigning Raw Women's Champion. So I definitely see her moving forward and keeping it for a little bit longer to extend, those numbers and make her and keep her as the number one person for the reign. Yeah, I definitely cannot pick anybody other than Bianca. Sorry, Io.
No, I understand. It's an opportunity for a big breakup, especially for both Selena and for Io to have these opportunities on the show. But like you say, I feel the same as you. I can only see the champions retaining. I feel that almost it feels like we'll have Bianca versus Rhea at some point down the line, perhaps even at WrestleMania. Seth freaking Rollins versus Omos.
The like I call it the match from the random generator. um, no, definitely I can't go against Rollins on this one. Even if Omos wins, but I definitely have to pick Rollins. I'm not interested in Omos in any shape, way, or form, and it's definitely not changing anytime soon. And Rollins is my guy, so I gotta pick him.
There you go. If it's your interview as well that you can get with Seth, it'd be criminal to not go for Seth. For the United States Championship, Austin Theory, Bobby Lashley, and
Mm.
Bronson Reed. Who have you got taking this one?
I feel like Theory will be that kind of heel of like probably staying outside and have these go at it, and then coming in when slithering when he can just to keep that championship. So as much as I don't like him, I think he's keeping it.
There we go, fair play on that one. There it was definitely a split one for me on the predictions one on that particular day. So, but we move on for the 6-man tag team match: Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, and Matt Riddle against the Usos and Solo Sikoa. Who's taking the W?
I definitely I cannot bet against Sami Zayn and KO together here, so I definitely want to. I think them, and Matt Riddle will definitely win the match.
Yeah, I had the same issue actually. I mean, Solos doesn't need to take the pinfall and can be on that losing team. And last but not least, then Cody Rhodes, the American Nightmare versus Brock Lesnar. How do you see it playing out?
As much as I don't want this to happen, I feel like Brock is probably going to be in Cody in just a few minutes, and it's going to end quicker than we think it would be, just because it's Cody. But I wish I could pick Cody, but I really can't right now.
Interesting. Do you feel that the loss at WrestleMania has hurt the momentum of Cody Rhodes at the moment?
I know a lot of people would disagree, and I don't mind at this point. But yeah, I feel like for me, this would have been more interesting with the championship involved in here. I feel like right now I just see it as like something that's happening and it's done afterwards. So it's like I feel like I don't want to say I lost the faith, but I don't see the point of having Cody kind of suffer more through it just to get that championship. I feel like that moment at WrestleMania could have been it, and ending it with the fireworks and him winning. I feel like it would have been like picture perfect in that aspect. So at this point, this match is ruined for me.
Do you know what? I don't want to say it's ruined for me, but I actually agree with a lot of the points that you make. I think Cody should have won, especially what we've seen WWE how it's played out since WrestleMania. I feel more and more it was a mistake that Roman retained. I know they wanted the 1,000 days for Roman, but even if it was the WWE Championship, that for Cody here against Lesnar could have made a lot of sense. And of course, when you say like the idea of that big magical moment, the crowning moment, end of WrestleMania, I don't think we can argue it has soured for Cody a little bit since then. A lot of people still believe, but it's not as strong as it once was there. But thank you for sharing your predictions there, Astrid. Really, really do appreciate it. And we'll go through the last comments that we have, and then I guess we'll wrap things up then today. We've got Ghost Spider saying, imagine this main event for SummerSlam, Roman Reigns versus Sheamus. Is Sheamus something that you would like to see go for the undisputed titles at some point?
I don't see why not. He's been one of those people that has been working so hard, and he's been getting highlighted so very well, especially lately. I wouldn't mind seeing him involved in the title anytime soon. That would be cool.
I mean, to be fair, as a match, I'm quite into the idea of it. I personally, for me, I would prefer it at a B pay-per-view. It sounds a bit down on Sheamus, really, but Sheamus has worked really, really hard and does deserve a big moment. But I would be down for seeing the match. It would be a fresh match for Roman, something that I think is good to see on the SmackDown side, at least. And if JD McDonough joins Judgment Day, as there are rumors about now, I've seen the rumors now recently, but it's not just our chat that have been speculated. It is actually a rumor as well. Then he and Priest. They should win the tag team championships. Just my opinion, says Ghost Spider. I mean, to be fair, Judgment Day as the tag team champions would be quite exciting, I imagine.
Yeah, I seen the same thing ever since I saw JD getting called up. I had a feeling that it was going to start with the rumors of him joining and being against, or like having that team with Balor there. I would have preferred seeing him and Balor as champion than JD and Damien, because I feel like we get that connection there from them. So I think that would be quite interesting having, the teacher and the protege together.
I really like that suggestion. Do you know what? Rich has actually put the same thing in the comments just a couple of seconds after us as well there, and even suggesting Damien Priest as United States champion. It feels like Judgment Day would be taking over Monday nights if that was the case there. But I guess instead of US champion, it would now be the IC champion. Gunther, watch out. It could be some, probably some chops in Damien's future, but I guess Gunther's reign would be over if Damien got his way. Ghost Spine here says there are rumours that Roman Reigns is now advertised for Money in the Bank, which would be great for the UK, and remove Money in the Bank. I'm not sure what he says there with that last bit, but he does go on to say Roman Reigns versus Bobby Lashley at Money in the Bank would be, I guess, a very, very fun match to see. What are your thoughts then of Roman Reigns then now advertised for Money in the Bank?
I don't know. It feels kind of strange at this point. It's another thing that if it does happen, if he does have a championship match at the pay-per-view, it's one of those that you already know he's probably going to retain it just because they won those 1,000 days. So it's like it won't be anything surprising like it's been the last few months.
Yeah, absolutely, indeed. There, but I think as a big time match, I've been saying it a little bit recently on this channel. So, Ghost Spider, I think you're familiar with my answer here. But the Almighty versus the head of the table, we've not seen that of those two characters head to head. So I want to see that as a match. I think as a program could be really, really good. I do want the Hurt Business versus the Bloodline, but I'm back into fantasy booking station here, aren't I? But hey, look, it's something I would like to see go down. But yeah, I think Roman would be the right winner if I'm being honest with you at that particular moment. But and our local establishment with a very good point. point here. What do you think the reaction would have been if someone had suggested Roman versus Sheamus at SummerSlam 5 or 6 years ago? Probably the same sort of reaction probably would have been given for Roman versus Sheamus back in 2015. It wasn't very hot then. But yeah, Astrid, do you feel that things have changed an awful lot then since the last 5 or 6 years now? How high Roman and Sheamus have come since then?
Yeah, I feel like for me with Sheamus, it's been about the same. He's been great since he started, and I like what even what the changes as the characters that he's had. He's been great at adapting them. So I always been and I like his work ethic with the characters he's been given. Roman will be like the person that has been shown a lot more growth in that aspect for me, because we've seen it from the promos that he had before to how he sounds now is definitely like a complete a different person. So I think that's what makes it more interesting, seeing how Roman has grown and changed versus I feel like Sheamus has been consistent since he started.
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely been that consistency. Roman's been a project. I think, who was it that said this just recently? I think it was Cody said it. Roman's been a project that only worked in the 8th year. So I mean, it's it's one of the things that Roman has been the big dog, but I don't think they're connected the way that people want it to. But now head of the table has been something of beauty. Raymond in House Raymond, thank you for checking out the stream. Zelina Vega's gonna be real rip. We're replaced and lose our title. Yes. I'm not quite sure what you're saying there, Raymond. I do apologise there, but yeah, I think perhaps maybe a VIP. I could see that for Zelina being a real VIP. Frankie says, I'm Frankie as well, new to the channel here tonight. Hope you're doing well, Frankie. Thank you for coming in. I have a feeling Roman doesn't wrestle at Night of Champions and has a 1,000-day celebration type segment where with Jay finally turning on Roman. Oh, that would be pretty cool to see with that sort of segment. Do you understand that could happen?
Yeah, I think something like that. That's what I see happening. Jay kind of turning on him and having that moment of being, main event Jay and show it off with Roman. I think something that would be a good way to close out that chapter with the bloodline and having him win over Roman, because that'll be super interesting going forward. Seeing somebody like when you think about Jay, you think about tag team, you don't think him as world champion. So I think it will be interesting, like, and something new and fresh to be for him to be champion and beat Roman of all people.
Absolutely. And if you want to build a match between Roman and Jay, say, hypothetically, say SummerSlam, be around 3 years since the start of that story. So it would almost go full circle. So I like the suggestion there, Frankie. We'll have to wait and see if it does or doesn't happen at this moment. Ghost Spider says, dream match for WrestleMania 40, Randy Orton versus Tommaso Ciampa or the Demon Finn Balor. I particularly like Orton versus Balor for me. That seems like a right peach of a one. But I know Orton and Tommaso Ciampa had a Twitter feud going a few years ago, and that led to a few people wanting that as a dream match. Ghost Spider continuing on here saying, who should dethrone Austin Theory? What's your opinion, I guess, from that United States Championship? Astrid, I'll let you go first.
I would say that I'm sticking with these two people because I love them already and their characters. I would say somebody like LA Knight. I want him to be champion sometime soon, and I think Grayson Waller would be a great one. I think their promos between them, promoting the match in itself and moving that forward, I feel like that would be super interesting to see.
It would be really interesting to see. And I would be totally in favour of that. But Ghost Spider, I did my predictions, didn't I, for Backlash just a couple of days ago, and I said Bobby Lashley will be winning the title on Saturday, which is now tomorrow. I have a feeling Bobby Lashley will defeat Bronson Reed, and it will lead to maybe Theory versus Bobby Lashley in a rematch at Night of Champions, but maybe not. Now we've actually made the new plans now for this World Heavyweight Championship. Maybe things will change. We'll have to wait and see. Ghostfire says, my opinion, Jake will not dethrone Roman Reigns. Potentially not. No one seems to dethrone Roman Reigns at this point. We're nearly at 1,000 days now. And Frankie says, what are your predictions for the World Heavyweight Championship final, since we now know it's Raw versus SmackDown? We did discuss this earlier, Frankie, in a much more depth. But Astrid, one more time, your Raw versus SmackDown pick, how do you see it playing out? Who will be in that championship match?
Yeah, definitely. My picks are definitely Seth versus Solo go for the finals.
I said Seth versus Fury. I think Fury will lose the title tomorrow, and I think that'll be a way to build him up. As an alternative, I would like to see Seth versus AJ again, but hey, one can only dream for that, Frankie. But that's all the questions we've had. So we're going to take one more question now from Ed Fries, just before we finish off now. Ed says, what is your favorite wrestling book you read? I think mine would be the Mankind one, the one he did in the 90s. I forget the title of it, which means that it's not a great answer from me, but the book was good, I promise. Astrid, what's your answer to this one?
I know it's not gonna like this answer, but I think I would say two. One of them was the Young Bucks that I got a review copy for, so that one was really nice to read. and see how they started to how it is now. And the other one that I really enjoyed was the Bella twins. I wish I would have narrated the audiobook. That's the only like in that aspect, but I definitely enjoyed their stories of like how they went from their backgrounds and how they fought so hard to get what they are now. And I feel like it's a great way to highlight women. It's not often that we get to see their point of view and how their career started, so that was pretty interesting.
Absolutely, indeed. Yeah, no, I can't disagree with that at all. There'll certainly be a fascinating read for sure. We've had 3 more comments come in, so I will take those before we finish off. Frank says, "Thanks, guys. Enjoy SmackDown. Be well." Thank you, Frankie, and appreciate you checking out the stream. Enjoy SmackDown and enjoy Backlash as well. Ghost Spider says, "Seth freaking Rollins or Drew McIntyre could win the World Heavyweight Championship at Night of Champions. They certainly could. We'll see what happens with Drew McIntyre. We'll have to wait and see what will go with that." And WrestleMania UK, Mex in the house as well. Mex, thank you for checking out the stream, my friend. Always a terrific content creator over there, not just with his own channel, but also with Wrestlings as well. Is there a SmackDown winner of the title that moves to Raw? We did discuss this a little bit earlier on. This would make sense of this if, and this was me down fantasy booking again, Mick, so I do apologize, but the rumors of Drew McIntyre potentially letting that contract run out and leaving WWE, that would create a bit of a hole on Raw, and the way to fill that void will be to move someone over from SmackDown. So that could make sense of someone from SmackDown winning that title and then going to Raw. Of course, in storyline terms, maybe doesn't, but maybe that could be a way that it could balance it out. But Astrid, what would you say the percentage chances of a SmackDown winner of this World Heavyweight Championship tournament, as much as we hear it's a Raw exclusive title?
I hope there's a little bit less chance of a SmackDown superstar winning it, and more it just kind of to give them that opportunity and that spot going for the tournament in itself and the pay-per-view. But I hope it's just not somebody from SmackDown winning it though.
I hope not either. We both said Seth freaking Rollins to win it, but of course, never say never. WWE likes to do the controversial thing, so it wouldn't surprise me if a SmackDown superstar was to win this. And of course, happy Cinco de Mayo, Feliz de Cinco de Mayo, of course, the 5th of May today to those who are celebrating, and also New Age Wrestling in-house as well, and saying Cinco de Michael, Underground Temple's favourite time of the year, LWO for life, indeed. Thank you for checking out the stream, New Age Wrestling, and thank you to everyone who has been watching. We're going to wrap things up for you there, but appreciate everyone's questions, getting involved. And of course, if you have missed anything on this stream, then go to the start and go back and watch it over. Myself and Astrid have been talking in great depth about Backlash being in Puerto Rico, the idea as well of some of the predictions for the matches, some of the big matches as well, Bad Bunny making the appearance along with this World Heavyweight title tournament. We talked in depth as well, so it'll be interesting to see how it's all going to play out tomorrow and how it's going to play out over the next few weeks. But once again, a massive thank you to the natural herself, Astrid Pizarro, who coming on this channel once again. It's been great to talk pro wrestling with you as always. And for those that have missed the start, who have not seen or know where to find you, please remind everyone where they can find you.
You can find me mostly on my Twitter, which is like my name, Astrid Pizarro. If you go on my YouTube channel, that's where I have most of my shows. I do Taking Over with Ed Fries, who's been in the comments with me today. Thank you, Ed. Doing Taking Over, we talk about NXT. I do have a show on Thursdays, Making an Impact, talking about Impact Wrestling. And as I said earlier, I do have a podcast called Ladies Wrestling Showcase. My friend Mel and I discuss women's wrestling. And I do have my interview series called Astrid Ask. I interview females in the male-dominated wrestling community. But yeah, hopefully in an hour or so, we'll definitely be live for Ladies Wrestling Showcase, discussing Mercedes losing the title and Trinity debuting Impact and little topics like that. But yeah, you can find that all on my Twitter if you check it out.
Absolutely, indeed. I will be checking that because I'm fascinated to know your thoughts of the debut of Trinity. I've yet to be able to see it myself, so that's why I've tried not to bring up in this stream. But I do think it's going to be a fantastic show. I recommend everybody to go and subscribe to Astrid Pizarro. I will actually put the link to your channel, in the description of the video as soon as we finish. So everyone go on there, please click it and subscribe to her channel as well. And go and follow all the other great content that she does here in the wrestling community. Really hardworking, great stuff. As you've seen here today, knows the stuff as well. So make sure to go and follow her on the socials and on the content creating platforms as well. But thanks everyone for watching. Anyway, if you've enjoyed the video, then please do consider hitting the like button. It helps the channels a long way. Subscribe as well to SCW if you are new here. And as well, also drop a comment as well in the comments below. Anything that we've not answered or you want to ask a question, I like to interact. So get involved in the comments. We can still talk anything you want to about pro wrestling. Last comment coming up for us now from our local establishment. Says, great show today. Enjoy the rest of your Friday, my friends. Cheers. And a big cheers to you, our local establishment as well. And cheers to everyone that's been watching. Cheers to Astrid, and may I say, enjoy Backlash, enjoy the rest of your day. We'll see you very, very soon. All the best, take care, and goodbye.